Hey, everybody. It is the Chess Today show. Interesting story here about International Master suing FIDE for a Grandmaster title. I wanted to dive into that with everybody, see what's going on with this, and get your thoughts on it. I think it's actually always fun to discuss the officialdom that governs our chess world getting sued for another reason, right? Nothing like FIDE getting sued. But before we do any of that, as usual, let's dive in and solve the daily puzzle, get our chess on before we get our discussion on. And in the meantime, if everybody wants to check out the link I posted in the chat and give me your thoughts or comments on this chess player suing FIDE story, please do that. All right, so what do we got here? An interesting little daily puzzle, huh? Okay. So the obvious thing to do when you've got the queen pinned to the king, and you have this ability to play bishop f6 check, deflecting the king and then taking here with check, that's the way you would save the day, right? When you're in a position where you're sort of on the defense, or at least you've been put on your heels a little bit because currently the black rook is simply winning our queen, then your first reaction is to look for a forceful way to deal with that and to solve that issue. But something tells me there's more here than just saving the queen and transitioning into an equal queen and pawn ending. And it has to do with the fact that if we actually captured here and his king took, and we played bishop f6 check, that would be mate if not for his ability to play pawn to g5. In fact, after queen takes, king takes, bishop f6 check, g5, g3 would be checkmate if not for the queen pinning the pawn. So we've got these interesting little things coming together there where black is kind of in trouble or checkmated in one move if not for the queen's ideal placement. So I wonder if there's like a subtle move. As I've said on this show before, for anybody who doesn't know how the daily puzzle at chess.com works, how the system works, the puzzles get progressively harder throughout the week, right? So earlier in the week during the Chess Today show, we're solving things that are kind of easy, right? And then we're solving Friday and Saturday's puzzles, and you know, those puzzles put hair on your chest, or a coming of age traditional saying for females as well. I don't know if that's appropriate to talk about. It helps you grow up, okay? That's what the Friday and Saturday chess.com puzzles do. Okay, let's see. I have an idea. Queen takes h4, king takes h4, bishop f6 check, g5, and then bishop to d4. A Zwischenzug, yeah? Or a Zugzwang. Because after bishop d4, if he plays g4, Cecchina La Schlamba back on f6. If he moves the queen on the second rank, then nothing happens. Bishop c3. Bishop c3 is the move. If he moves the queen on the second rank, then bishop e1 is going to be mate. If he plays g4, bishop f6 is mate. If he plays queen f2, bishop e1, queen takes e1, g3 is mate. No, if he plays queen f2, we have nothing. If he plays queen f2, we come back to e5. And then if queen e1, g3 is mate. If g4, bishop f6 is mate. I think it's a forced mate. So again, here's my line of thought. Queen takes h4, king takes h4, bishop f6 check, g5, bishop c3. High-class waiting move. If he moves the queen off, g3 is mate. If he moves the queen too far on the second rank, bishop e1 is mate. Queen f2 is the only move. Then we play bishop e5. Again, g4 is still mate. If he moves the queen off, bishop g3 is mate. If he moves the queen to e1, then g3 is mate. All right, I'm going with it. This is a tough one. This was a good daily puzzle, and I hope I got it right. But this was a good one. Boom! Bishop c3, and now we'll see if I'm right that it's back to e5. Look at that. Look at that, turning the daily puzzle around. Flipping the script on the tough daily puzzle, right? Wait, today's only Thursday, right? Why was I thinking today was Friday? What is wrong with me? I don't even know, but this was a really tough puzzle for a Thursday. So our team is taking their game up to the next level. So hopefully you found that instructive. At least explaining the thought process as far as how I would approach that. you know, I think that whenever you have this, you can kind of smell a rat, right? When you can put the king on the edge of the board there and he's this close to getting mated, it allows you, you know, it gives you the justification to consider those sort of queen sacrifices and to keep looking for subtle and sometimes awesome moves. Like, I really like this one. I like the move bishop to c3 as the way to subtly put black in zugzwang, where the queen has no good ways to prevent this king from getting checkmated. That's some high-class stuff, and black's best chance is just to give up the queen. So, fun stuff. We've got our daily puzzle out of the way. One thing that's kind of unfortunate on today's Chess Today show is that I actually don't have any daily chess games going. I don't have any. I have multiple daily chess games going, but nobody has made their move. So so we're going to jump back into the news after starting off with chess. So let's talk about this story. Everyone, thanks for being here. And diving into the chat. And if anybody has any thoughts or comments or questions on this little story here, please share. So what's going on here? We've got so International Master Braga has taken the World Chess Federation to court in an attempt for the Grandmaster title. He claims he fulfilled all requirements. FIDE disagrees. So this is interesting. A lot of people don't even know what the process is to become a Grandmaster, but it's a combination of gaining rating points and reaching the 2,500 rating barrier. I'm just going to summarize this for the news. But then also you have to perform and get a performance norm. I think the term norm comes from performance. I don't even know. But you get a norm which says, hey, this guy isn't just getting the rating. This guy's showing he can compete with GMs, and you have to do that a few times. That's the quick layman's version of how you earn the International and Grandmaster titles, which is why the IM title and the GM title are the only two titles in chess that are lifetime titles. You can't lose them. Like an FM reaches a rating barrier, but if they drop below that rating barrier, they're no longer an FM. So an IM and GM title, they both require you to do this sort of strenuous process of getting the rating and the norms. And so once you achieve them, you know, you're a chess professional for life. This is interesting. So one thing I haven't really figured out is why this guy thinks he has a case. FIDE never loses in trial, by the way. So that's a funny thing. But FIDE says that he doesn't because, for starters, the 20-game Olympiad rule is a complicated factor, blah, 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 blah. Maybe this guy should just go back to the drawing board and just try to get another norm, right? I don't know. So this is funny. I don't know. Everyone, I'm just going to recommend you check it out because I think it's more fun for me to go play some games and everyone and to provide some educational and interesting banter. But what I will say is that the comments here are actually pretty interesting because you get a lot of people who I think are chess.com members dig themselves a legal discussion because none of them are lawyers, but they just play one on chess.com. And so there's multiple pages here. So I think that the interesting issue is that whether or not, it seems like the critical thing is going to be whether or not this Olympiad tournament is allowed to count. And let's do a quick summary. So the case is underway. It's in its early stage. FIDE's lawyers have claimed procedural issues. For instance, they state there is no decision by FIDE that can be appealed. So there is no appeals process. So that's the issue. It's kind of like trying to challenge a play that was never called on the field, right? But Braga and Hoffman are accusing them as a tactic to exhaust the case and take away his financial resources. So interesting stuff. All right, well, dive into the comments if you want it. That's our interesting news of the day. Always like to show what has happened on the chess.com homepage. Yesterday, of course, we dove into the story of whether or not Magnus Carlsen would lose his top spot. But since we have a few more moments here, let's dive in and do something that we do on the Chess Today show after solving the daily puzzle and checking out whatever the hot topic of news is. Normally, I would be playing my daily chess moves, but since I have no games going, and we know I'm not going to get to my messages, right? That's just the running joke of Danny. I say we go into live chess and play a couple games. Before we do that, I'm just going to check in here and see what the... So Eric Davis knows the story. FIDE says his norms are expired, which is a thing. which is a thing. Before, norms didn't expire, but now the norms have expired, I guess. So that would be an interesting thing to see how that holds up. But I'm going to just make a prediction that this guy doesn't win this case. Okay, say I'm going out on a limb here, but FIDE doesn't lose, okay? The court of FIDE arbitration always makes sure that FIDE wins. BJH13 says he read through the comments last night. It made his brain hurt, and that he doesn't think the guy has a case. So I don't even know as much of the details, but it seems like the consensus is this guy is getting a publicity stunt going, but no. So Netflix and Gaming wants to ask me how far I can hit a 7-iron. I actually do play golf with my dad. He's a big golfer. I'm not bad. The thing, I'm just really inconsistent, like anybody who doesn't play golf. I think I can hit a 7-iron. I don't know, what are you supposed to be hit at, like 140 yards or something? I think I can get a hold of one. Am I going to slice the bejesus out of it? Possibly, but I can get a hold of a 7-iron. Look, BJH says, looks like Giri may win this. That would be great. Okay, so the Norway chess games would be fun to take a look at. In fact, maybe that'll be a fun thing to do today, because if you go into chess.com and click on the live events tab, the games from Norway are all being relayed. So already we've seen Aronian in a non-draw, and Nakamura and Wesley So took a quick draw, but all the other games are still going. So let's give Danny's quick thought process on what's going on in these games. Giri is up a pawn, but not in the best position to have great winning chances. I think he'll play King H5 now. Playing King H5 would be the way to go about it, preventing black from sacrificing for the pawn. Remember, one of the biggest issues for white is that if black somehow manages to sacrifice this knight for this pawn, then it's a draw, because this bishop is the wrong color corner of the light square, right? So of the dark square. So if you don't have the right color bishop of the corner, just to highlight the difference there, this is a theoretical draw for those of you who don't know that, even if black is down a full piece and a pawn. So that would be Caruana's defensive goal. After knight f7, I think that if Giri plays King H5, this looks tough for black. Is he in Zugzwang, though? What if he just sits? What if I just sit on the position? What's the threat? Like, are you going to push? But then I guess if I come back, I'm going to lose all the pawns. And that's not ideal. But I wonder if even this is winnable. With me holding on the dark squares, is this even a winning endgame? I mean, like, seriously, right? I'll just move, and you take as many moves as you want. I'll just go put the knight over here. But if my king is just sitting on the dark squares, how is white winning this game? Okay, if you get this far, of course, I should probably bring the knight a little closer, because if my knight was really far off, you could do something like sacrifice, come up, and then play g7 and bishop c4, and that would win. So, but as long as my knight is within striking distance, you know, here I go to e8 or something, I don't see there being a concrete plan for white to win this. So I know BJH in the chat said he thinks that Giri's winning now, but I'm not sure I agree. We'll see. I mean, okay, if King H5 knight here, maybe my plan of H7 was bogus. Is there another way for white to put black in some sort of zugzwang? Something like this and then here, right? You try to take away the squares for the knight, and then the knight, if the knight has to move, is there a way to sort of repeat that? But I don't see it. I think you're in a position where how can you limit the knight and find a way to get this pawn before black is just coming back? So I'm not meaning to crush your hopes and dreams, buddy, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a grandmaster, as we know. I just play one on Chess TV, and I'm certainly not Giri or Caruana. But my intuitive guess is that this is a draw, partly because I don't even see a 2-pawn advantage if this pawn has to go to h7 as maybe enough to win, as long as black is sort of just sitting tight on the dark square. So that's my prediction for that game. I'm going to predict a draw. Let's open up the Vachier-Lagrave game. So this is a little more interesting. Here we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave against Vladimir Kramnik with some pawns that are going wild. Wait, is this game already a draw? It doesn't say it's a draw. Yeah, that's a good point, Mr. Burns. If white plays g4, black could just sacrifice it for the... if g4 is played at some point, black could sacrifice. But you have to be careful. You can only sacrifice if you can get here. Sometimes there's weird positions where, as you see, the bishop is guarding the light squares currently. The pawn would be guarding the dark squares. So you have to be really careful. One example of that, if just to show you that I'm not crazy, if something like this happens, there's moves like this. And the king is just like stuck. Can't get in the corner. And then you're going to lose. Because now, eventually, you'll lose this pawn, and he'll force your king away. And that's how you'll lose. So, before you just sacrifice your pieces in these endgames, assuming that you're going to get to this corner and draw, make sure you can get to the corner and draw, and that's a hashtag pro tip today. Checking out the Chess TV chat now, moving over. Yeah, Sam Copeland in the chat says Aegon loses court cases, but FIDE doesn't. That's a very good point. FIDE doesn't lose court cases. Aegon loses every court case, apparently. So, The computer on Chess24, according to NJ Gregg, says Giri has a +4 lead. Again, computers evaluate these positions based on the math that they currently see, but they lack a human horizon effect. They would never say what I said about the king being able to sit on the dark squares. Also, here's a little test for your computer. Put the position into the computer where white is just up, the bishop and pawn, but this king is in the corner. The computer is going to say white is like +5 or 6 forever until it just knows it's a table-based draw. So it's not as simple as what the computer says. Table bases agree with Danny. Thank you, ChemChess, that this is a draw. Cool. I don't even know the table bases, but according to ChemChess, Campter, Diamond member, says you're a pretty good analyst. Why, thank you, sir. All right, well, everyone's having fun here. Seems like you guys are enjoying this quick little analysis of the tournament. Not really my intention to do live commentary of the Norway Chess Super Tournament, the Altibox Norway Chess Super Tournament, but I guess that's what happened today. That's what happens when you have no daily chess moves to play. So without my daily chess moves, we dove in here. Again, I don't see this as a draw. They're not moving, and I don't see the time ticking, so that's confusing to me. But if I was just to give an opinion on this endgame, I think MVL is better. I think he can play b5. And if h3, we can check. If something like b5 happens, black probably plays king g6. And then if you move the rook, now he can play h3. But you're also giving this check and then following up with a7, h2. What is going on? No, if h2, then this. So that means here, and if you go this way, you might get your king in trouble. I don't know. You know, these are some of the most tricky endgames that require just pure calculation. So it is not a draw. That's cool. Maxime plays rook h5 check. Something tells me that white is playing for a win here. Combination of this king being awkwardly placed along with the pawn being further advanced. But I admit that this endgame is very hard for an analyst just jumping in to evaluate, because rook endgames like this are basically all calculation. You just have to calculate these lines. You know, rook h5, king g6, king b7, a7. Like, you just have to like do it and see if you're going to queen first. It's hard for me to make like a general assessment of this endgame is normally better for X because of Y. You know, it's just that I have no idea. I like this move rook h5 by Maxime. Okay, black has already played king to g6. I assume we will see rook h8. And the threat after rook h8 is to play king to b5, discovered check, followed by gobbling up the rook. In fact, is that the move now? Is he going to give this check and then take? That's interesting. Because if h3, a7, and Bob's your uncle. And if he tries to come down, look at this. We have check, the king moves, and then rook a5. So that a move like this is met with this, and white is still queening first. Whether you take here or whether you keep pushing, white is queening first, which means that white's going to be winning. I mean, no matter what, white's usually whoever gets the queen here. So look at that. I think MVL is going to win this game, which is going to be good news for Magnus Carlsen to knock down Vladimir Kramnik's rating so that Magnus Carlsen doesn't lose the top spot. But am I right about this? Is king to b5 winning on the spot here? I can check the chat. You guys are probably using engines, even though I'm not. Maybe you guys can confirm if king to b5 is the best move. It looks pretty good to me, and it's based on that kind of key point that, one, when I queen, I guard this square, and two, if the rook tries to come behind, I have this intermezzo with check, followed by rook a5. That looks like a winning line to me. I think MVL is going to... Wait. Oh, even better! I wasn't even considering this. Look at that. Rook takes h4. it's the same idea I suggested, but more accurate. He eliminates the pawn completely, because after rook h4, king to b5 check, white regains the material, and MVL is going to beat Kramnik. You heard it here first, everybody. Kramnik is going down, which means, as far as yesterday's news is concerned, right, it means that likely for Magnus Carlsen, he's a pretty happy cat for knocking down Vladimir Kramnik, who is inching closer to overtaking him in the rating spot. So, interesting stuff. I think MVL wins this game. Again, Giri Fabiano. I think this is going to be a draw. As I said, table base agreed with me. Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karyakin. Last game we get to check out here before we probably wrap up the Chess Today show with a little bit of commentary and see how you guys are doing here in the chat town. So, GM Lucky wants to know why I'm biased against that guy. I'm not biased against that guy. I don't even know the guy. I was making jokes about the fact that that you never beat FIDE in a court case, and so I don't know the guy. I don't know anything about his. Well, I know enough about the case like you guys do, but I think it seems unlikely that you can win an appeal when there is no appeals process. It's like appealing against Roger Goodell on an item where there is no appeals process. I guess eventually they did go to the Court of Appeals, and who won that? Who won that, by the way? Did Roger Goodell win that or Tom Brady? I don't even remember. That's how stupid that was. But the point is, FIDE doesn't have the right to do a lot of things, GM Lucky. I'm not biased against this guy at all. Okay, I hope he gets his title. More power to him. But from my perspective, you can't appeal, legally when there's no legal grounds or process, like there's no legal procedure. So we'll see if I'm wrong, and maybe they will win in court. I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, what else is going on? The GM norms have apparently expired. GM Lucky says no, they haven't. Well, okay. I think that's the debate, right? We're going to find out whether that's the case, because the GM norm rule, by the way, and this is on GM Lucky's side, and this is true. The rule that norms can expire was only a recent addition made. Before, I'm pretty sure the rule was that norms don't expire for life, but then they made an addition that norms can expire. So as far as the controversy, I mean, I guess I should be talking about the controversy if we're here. As far as the controversy of this case goes, I think that's going to be the key debate. I mean, clearly norms can expire, and if that's the case with FIDE's new rule, then these norms, I think, have expired, GM Lucky. I think you should check that out. But the thing is, these norms were made before there was a rule that they can expire. So, what happens there? I don't know. But again, I'm arguing the fact that he's not going to beat FIDE because there is no process of beating FIDE. There is no process by which you win that. They decide who they're granting titles to, and I just, so short of some really shocking result, I think a court would probably rule with FIDE. So that's cool. So he says he understands, and thanks for talking. All right, cool. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm not biased. Thank you, GM Lucky, for bringing that up in the Twitch chat. Let's check out what's going on with Carlsen and Karyakin one more time before we wrap up today's Chess Today show. Magnus Carlsen and Sergei Karyakin, what do I see? What do I see here? I see white has an attack against the king. I see Carlsen's rooks are ideally placed, but I see a lack of a concrete threat currently. Well, I guess queen to c3 does officially make moves like rook h8 a threat, right? Because certainly the king can't move without, Bob's your uncle over here. And if he plays knight to g8, oh, maybe queen c3 doesn't do much, but I feel like maybe there's a chance to overload the queen. This is a tough position because this is the kind of dynamic affair that could really go either way, right? I mean, again, very difficult to just jump into and analyze. If I'm just speaking philosophically or generally here for a moment, I tend to I think we would prefer the knight and bishop chances against the rooks because one, these pawns are not very far up the board. They're not very passed, right? Usually the passed pawns with the rooks get really dangerous and the minors have trouble coordinating against them. And these rooks are not like on a 7th rank or anything. So normally I would say like I like the knight and bishop's chances, but because the king is open, that's a bit of a game changer, right? And so that's it's going to make Karyakin's life difficult to constantly be parrying and dealing with threats. But is he not just going to capture the pawn on d5 with check? White moves the king. And let's just say I just do this? Like, what's the threat? Carlsen plays rook h8. I play knight g8. So it would take me a little bit more brain power and a little bit more time to fully understand where Carlsen's compensation is coming from. I mean, this is dangerous for black. Don't get me wrong. I mean, moves like this are in the air, but every move, to me, I lack a way to see the vision here, unless there's something with the rooks lifting. Maybe this is the idea. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, so Karyakin doesn't even take with check. He plays bishop there, and maybe for that reason. Maybe he's worried about moves like rook e4 and coming over. He wants to kind of sit tight on the position a little bit with everybody kind of holding down the fort on the fourth rank here. But queen to c6 is the move that pops out for me, forking the rook and bishop, although probably this trade is going to lose a piece. Maybe you have to play this rook. These positions just get so messy, right? Like, is black just saving everything? I mean, this is going to be just really a tricky affair to calculate. A position that engines play much better than human beings, because we get overwhelmed by things like tactics in the air and our king being checked psychologically, right? Computers just calculate the math problem and spit out a solution. So, okay, well, that was fun. That was a little bit of a different Chess Today show. Normally, you know, focused on a feature, but I guess that is a feature, talking a little bit about the live games being available on chess.com, and you can analyze them yourself. The one thing we really are working on adding is we'd really like to have guess the move functionality for these live relay games. Right now, you can only play guess the move if you're observing a game that's being played on chess.com, right? If we're watching a game that's being played on chess.com, you can make a move and try to guess along with the top players, and that's kind of a fun, interactive way to feel involved. We don't have that because the tech that delivers these relays from a live tournament on site's a little different. But, you know, check out the games in the live chess server. Please keep tuning into the Chess Today show. Solve the daily puzzle. Do as I did. And if you have more opinions on the suit there, weigh in on the news with International Master Braga suing FIDE for the Grandmaster title. So best of luck to him, and super interesting stuff. I'm going to say one more goodbye, I guess, to the chat. See ya, NJ Greg. See ya, Campter. See ya, Move Breaker. You guys, this was a very good show. You liked it. You liked the analysis. Cool. All right, good to know you liked it. A little bit of a different tempo for the Chess Today show. BJH3, he loves this show. Awesome. Appreciate. And I think it was cool to see MVL take down Kramnik. I love that rating race at the top. But I also, you know, Maxime is my boy. Love Maxime. So cool to see him get a big win there as white, assuming he's about to take care of business as I predicted. So thanks, everybody, for tuning into the Chess Today show. We will talk to you later. Later, Skater. It's on the show. Oh, wait. Last thing I always do before we sign off. I have to show you the Chess TV schedule so you're aware of what's going on. No Blitz Brawls today because Lawrence Trent already did that. We have at 11 a.m. right now, okay, we have Kevin Bordy. That means I need to end the show. Is doing his live Blitz stream with Fabian. And if you speak French, if you speak French, hop on. Otherwise, tune in for Spicy Chess at 1 p.m., which is going to come on after that. So that's what's on the schedule for today. Tomorrow we got Chess Today and my Bullet Brawls, so that'll be fun. Peace out, everybody. I'm going to hop off so that Kevin and Fabian can do their thing, and talk to you later.